everybody. This is a trip, okay? It's March 1st, first of all, 2021. And I get that people in this time, first of all, might think that's a little weird that I emphasize all four digits. I am catering to a very, 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 very advanced audience, at least by faith alone. Look how young I was. Best part is, we're going to talk about a new type of fission. Something I've never even... I didn't even conceive of it. It came out of my mouth. So I might have come up with it, but I don't think I did. I think I'm actually being given this. I'll just say as witnessed by David. As witnessed by me. Okay, so hydrogen, right? Then you got deuterium, typically used in fusion fuel. Then you have tritium, which is really the one that we crush into helium and lithium and beryllium, etc. down the road when we get to the points where we can do sustained fusion, which isn't too far ahead to begin. What I want to talk about is an unlikely, it's an unexpected gift. Unexpected. I get that I've been trying to avoid this because I knew in my heart, well, not in my heart, but I knew in my mind that tritium was as far down we could go. Quaternium, metallic hydrogen format, quaternium, which is interesting because there's an H2 a metal complex. Oh, excuse me. So then it would be an H8 format similar to, what is that as? Oxygen 8, O24, aka also S8, sulfur 24. That's another one. These are all metals that have a very powerful magnetic push. And what we do in a fission or fusion chamber, aka star chamber, or anti-star in the case of fission, you have like a light bulb, pretty much like a thermonuclear weapons, the head of it, how it appears, a ball, and then the actual exhaust port. In the ball, it's coated with that metal that's that O24 that becomes O8, or S24 that becomes S8, or H24. I'm not sure about that one, but I'll get on to it because I want to talk about beta fission. That's what I'm calling. Beta fission. It's a different kind of fission. Quaternium, the metal hydrogen, it doesn't have to be like magnesium hexamine, which they're using deuterium, which is Mg2ND36, which is a pretty good fusion fuel. Quaternium has got 3 neutrons per proton, and I guess it's created under extraordinary pressure or conditions. I don't know. Whatever it is done, deuterium to be made into the metallic hydrogen form. Well, here's the fun thing. It's beta fission insofar as it will split into deuterium, which can then be fused into tritium. Well, when it compressed into tritium. I don't yet know the whole thing, but I'll just say this. It's an idea. Beta fission. That you could take quaternium. It's just an idea, okay? I could be wrong. I didn't come through as fun. So there's a hope that there is something down the road with the effect of quantum manipulation, what I call playing festival of the periodic table. Playing festival is based off of a makeup face eyeshadow that I have with all these different colors. And I got to thinking about the elements. If you place them in these little cups, like in a condition most quantum, you would be able to run a computer off of a crystal cycle, like, say, iodine sulfur. And then even better, when we go into gas phase crystalline, more stuff I just don't know. I won't say when we go into, we're already there when we're doing that. But nitronium, the nitrogen cycle, we could harness, take care of. And then, of course, we have metals that we witness in fermion plasma. Fermion is what you need. Fermion plasma for a quantum system would ultimately harness Omicron zeta state. Omicron zeta state is what I call absolute definition. An alpha state, or alpha position, alpha states, superposition is 0 and 1. beta state superposition would be and or, for the sake of 0 and 1, 0 or 1, 0 and or 1. Okay, that's another whole other thing. Gamma would be like and or nor, or eventually starts to sound like fanboys. So the reason I mention all this stuff is, look, I don't know. Omicron is another word for omega zeta state. I don't think that flows as good as Omicron zeta state. It just sounds nerdy enough to come through. O/Z state, absolute definition. I assumed the universe would witness itself as absolute in the phi state, and that's possible for the sake of 1 to 1.618. Square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 2. Right, same thing. Well, saying 1 to 1.618 is really about the equivalent of calling pi 3.1415. Yeah, give or take. But the point is, yeah, to be accurate to the letter, we just do the formula. Square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 2. And the reason phi is witnessed is so important in its computer, phi in the form of Fibonacci, and phi in the form Fibonacci negations. So we can't get to the number 4 if you just count with phi, one phi. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5, 8, 5, 8, 11, brain fart, 13 is what I meant. 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, etc. You get it. Alright, but to get to the number 4, you would need to say 5, or you could say 3 and 1. Well, you would have to have negations into the program so that it could take a step back instead of step forward. Or just avoid the step back by having a negation at that moment and just counting up. If the computer thought with just phi and anti-phi in the form square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 2, square root of 5 plus 1 times 2? I'm not going to go into all that, but I just want to say that Fibonacci and then Fibonacci negations, which I'd never heard of before until I witnessed it last year on Instagram. Well, on here first, but anyway, I want to talk about quaternium, and for some reason we switched from nuclear to Omicron zeta state. So I have a fun feeling monopole, that's what I'd also called Oz state. With respect to monopoles, it would be very easy to quantum entangle a magnet with another magnet. If you could crush both down. See, that's the thing we didn't know. We're trying to cut a magnet off so it was only one pole. A monopole happens when you crush the magnet field down to its nth in the middle of its beam. And since the beam is in the way of itself, we can't see it, we would split two, or have two magnets that we would bring within so much of a degree of each other, or a second of a minute of a degree of each other, you know what I mean? Like, and literally beam it with gamma so that it would actually reach that small wavelength known as So gamma is a fun light because it witnesses itself through the entire infinity that is fractal design, assuming that that is absolute fact. Okay? And what do I call the largest wavelength in the universe? A gravity wave. To be sure, I don't know, but I would assume that that's the highest size of wavelength you could possibly get to, aka the longest wavelength, gravity, with an EM spectrum rating of like 1. You know what I mean? I don't know for sure, but it would explain a lot about gravity's limitations on strength versus other parts of the EM spectrum. See, magnetism, I had assumed magnetism as like amphoteric, like the equivalent of amphoteric, but I think it's not complete, and that everything has an EM. I mean, everything truly is in the EM spectrum. So if everything is part of the EM spectrum, truly there's a frequency for it. So then we have to find the frequency for matter, which is probably the one that's the lowest frequency. Alright, so not gravity. Gravity is pretty low, but then matter would be lower, wouldn't it? Maybe nth. You know, there are different size infinities. For example, the number 1. There's absolutely an infinity of infinities within 0 and 1. If you don't believe me, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 3, it doesn't matter. Between 0 and 1 is the number of infinity. But between 0 and 2 is double the size. But yet they're both infinity. Well, it can be cut into so many pieces infinitely until you reach a certain state of absolute where you're open. Okay, I get it. So 0 and 1 and 0 to 1 and 0 to 2 ultimately. When you tap current zeta, absolute definition, fractal definition, then of course they're the same size. So and or. So 0. Okay, that's a trip. This is just free association thinking. What I call transcendental truth. When you become a real blessing to yourself, when you actually wake up in the morning and it's a better day than yesterday just because it's a day closer to when you know in all, like 20 years ago, right? There was a time when I used to say the good old days, even when I didn't actually say good old days, but I used to look back and be like, man, I would do anything to go back there. It's starting to get to the point where I'm like, man, I can't wait. I mean, I obviously can, but, and I'm thankful for being allowed to wait, but, I mean, I look forward to the future. I don't fear anything. And I think all this stuff is real. And I can't wait till you guys actually try that lightsaber formula I put on YouTube. I didn't come up with this stuff. I mean, I did and I didn't. But for some dumb reason, a plasma blade really seemed to make sense in reference to a magnetron. And, I don't know, maybe gamma light coming through it. Whatever would push the magnet field off from the magnet. Kind of like radio. Radio wave would push the field off the magnet and then electrolyze it. Or, I don't know, you know what I mean? The ideas were fun, but based off magnetic induction. So essentially a handle that's magnetic inductor, inducing magnetism, and forcing the field off of the magnet up so it's imbalanced, and so it would be a nebulous on one side where the other side has, it's a trip, but the shit you're talking, hold on. I'll say this. The lightsaber is likely just mine. I don't know if I came up with it in toto, but I have a feeling I did. Because of sprites. I was thinking, it's really a sprite sword. Oh, is that fun? That's a whole other kind. Alright, like I said, and this is one of the things that lets me know it's real. E equals mc squared. What I had also said was m equals ec half value square root for the sake that e is included into the c squared. Square rooting. The square root of c squared is c. The square root of e is whatever that half value is. It would have to be the half value because the two are the square root of c squared and the square root of e. That's effective. I was saying spinning triangle root, which I know this sounds absolutely nuts, but the square root of spin and the square root of, Anyway, I was saying the half value of a square because I was talking about the angles in a triangle. Yeah, well, the 180 degrees in there, degrees versus, a square which has 360. I'd like you to consider this. There's an interesting shape situation that happens when you take a hexagon, for example, and you know that the angles are all, a hexagon. 6 times, 120? Obviously, there's more than 360 I might have to check that. Obviously, it's not 160. It's pretty big. Like 145, 45 plus 90, 45 plus 90 times 6. So how can something that has more degrees than a circle... I might need to check this before I get into it, but I like what I'm saying. Give me a sec. So truly, when you look up... Well, I might have to look at this with the thing. Well, okay, the 90 degrees in a square, and there's 4 90s, that's 36. That's 360, I mean, just doing the math. So then a pentagon, which has bigger angles, times 5, how can it be bigger than 360, yet it is obviously 360 degrees in there? So then there might be some fun thing we can do with that in the future. I just don't know yet. When I say fun thing, I mean true form science, witnessing through. It's funny though, you're spinning a spinning triangle, and two triangles would be a hexagon in the form. Okay, give me a sec. Why are we? Okay, so the objective here is when we're speaking about hexagons is we're pulling stuff out of the a 0 point. So it's a 0 point field thing, yet we're making matter with it. So then one would actually just think, okay, if we're making matter with light, and it's free energy, and it's witnessing in light, we might make it into the frequency of the metal, or element rather, that we want most of at the time. I'm a nerd, okay? I was born in 1979, so I was a nerd. I'm thinking 79, well, that's gold, and I'm like, oh, it's the golden year, cool. So I'm thinking also, why don't we just make gold? Because, green, it's real easy to do, which takes me back to the sprite situation. If you have a large screen, like, say, a cloud or a nano diamond powder cloud, maybe in an alpha state, witnessing it into the frequency of the color of gold under high enough energy, maybe there's a lot of supposition here. I just think the Bikini Atoll, when that 50, we meant that they were trying to make a 5 or 15 megaton explosion, but it turned out to be like 50 instead, and people got burned. They lived, but bless your hearts. I know you didn't want to do what you had to do. It was probably fun until it wasn't. The L6 became L7, and then lithium deuteride, which fused. Ultimately, that warhead became a real problem for Bikini Atoll. There's literally a hole in the ground, and there's a spot where an island paradise used to be. I kind of want to build it back. Might build another island. But this science is absolutely real. I'll be able to afford it. I think, yeah. Anyway, I like that I'm having these pipe dreams, even though I'm not exactly on a pipe. I do, give me a second. I like to think that there will come a time where the elegance of these matters will be so obvious that we will actually say, okay, through that. Remember how I was saying the story was fiction, but the fact was that there was real prophetic truths coming through. Most of the time in art, we witness the stuff that we've always wanted to see realized. So a lot of times people make it real, like stuff in Star Trek, especially, like Beam Me Up, Scotty. That's a day. That's a day I can't wait to see in real life. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? All right, number 2. If we do that, we can definitely time travel easily, quantum, because you just quantum entangle one particle with the other, monopole style, and then somehow crush yourself down without crushing yourself. I don't know, but anyway, it's fun to think. I want to take my one experiment I'm going to do is have literally the entire world eventually, but at least the United States, maybe one state at a time until we get to them. All the little kids in school, have them do a project where they have to write a story about what they think the future is going to be like. There's no wrong answer. And like best prize would be like, when we make it happen, would be the best prize. But like we would like pay the kids through school, and then like make a movie out of it, like stuff that isn't quite, well, how do you tell kids they didn't do good enough? So like you gotta do like major incentives for that. If we have this kind of money, then this is sort of like some altruism witnessing, and I don't like to do that like too publicly because I'm talking science, so because then I have a moral incumbency to come up with these things, or an incumbency in general, because moral imperative. I have to actually, if I'm a billionaire, I can do it. I mean, if I'm a billionaire in the future, I can do it. Why am I a billionaire? Omicron Zeta State. Why else? Yes, exactly. Lightsabers. Why else? Well, I can't really own that. That's not me. But a sprite sword, I can. Can't even own a roar blade. Fuckers. Sprite sword's mine, though. Sprite sword, true. We were thinking it was like an aurora borealis. We being the eye that I am here and the eye that I am some other time, 2020. So, lightning, it strikes. It strikes, it strikes, it strikes. What if the sun's light bouncing off of a thunderstorm creates an imbalance of matter? And the matter is being created by the light actually being caught on the water drops. But it happens to be in the frequency of typical sunset colors. Orange, red. And so we witness helium and hydrogen and nitrogen, true form, being created in the air. So lightning strikes because there's an imbalance of particles. We have more particles up here, and then, friction, truly. And so then you watch, the lightning goes up, it strikes, but at the top of the cloud, you see this, jet go, it goes, blue goes up into the orange, and the orange is what I think is true form E equals mc squared truly happening in the reverse order of nuclear bomb style. The reason I mentioned Bikini Atoll is because a 700 kilogram lithium deuteride, ultimately 15 or 50, whatever it was, 25, whatever it was, megaton bomb. It wasn't Tsar bomb, that was the 50. I think it was 15 or 30, and they meant it to be 5. That was it. What I wanted to say is only 200 milligrams of the matter truly disappeared. It became light energy, and that's true form. An antimatter bomb of 200 milligrams would have done the same thing, 100 milligrams, because 1 and 1 would make the 200 milligrams. I don't like to think of antimatter explosives, but the first thing that comes to mind is uranium. U-235. And why I think that is so is there's no electron noise when you're doing the fission. When you would do an electronic sputtering, there would be an alpha cloud of the particles, an ion cloud, plasma. And all you would have to do is have a ship that has that perfect spheroid, thermonuclear-like warhead tile, like a light bulb. But the pressure of the diamagnetic force, the magnetic push, would force the alpha cloud in the middle into an nth, which would, critical mass would form, and so it would automatically ignite. In other words, you would literally be able to start the rocket with a turn of a key. And it's literally, that's if you have oxygen 8, aka O2 4, in the form 96 plus gigapascals to create the metallic format oxygen that's red crystal in other forms with a diamagnetic push by its own design. And if it has thick enough and it's strong enough, big enough, you may be able to create a critical mass situation inside simply on the alpha cloud that would be witnessed by turning a fucking key and opening an electronic sputter. That's what I was trying to tell you about Berkeley. It made me sad that I never even got a proper response back, and it lets me believe that maybe you guys thought me a spam folder thing. I don't know. But when you write, let me see how many schools I wrote. Berkeley, MIT, NCSU, UNCC, UCF, and USF. It was enough to make me think I was crazy. Maybe something was wrong with me. Let me tell you why I don't think something's wrong with me. Literally 9 lottery episodes that are on here are real. The reason I, in the future, wouldn't allow me to win the games I didn't win is because I'm not a time changer. I'm not going to do any of that. Maybe a really minor one. Maybe ultimately I win the games that I win because I won them. I already know that I win them because my future said I won them, and I trust myself because I have perfect integrity. I am an honest person. So ultimately, the voice in my head is a loving, kind, honest, innocent, sapient innocent, I hope. I like to believe that I'm actually smart and know things in the future. But innocent heart is a noble heart, so I at least can say this to myself in the future. Moving forward. Anyway, that's my left hand. I do it from the lady side. I'm really feeling that fission. I'm really feeling beta fission, too. So we witnessed beta fission, quaternium that's compressed into, beta fission. It's a cool idea with it being an easier way to split an atom that's so heavy it literally splits. Maybe it's got a purpose. Beta fission? It's still true form fission. It's a big blocky atom that Maybe it's so easy to split that it doesn't give off that much energy. Maybe. It might even be able to do cold fusion, aka microscopic catalyzed fusion, true form, uh, in the form platinum, palladium, probably. Palladium holds the most dense, maybe even an alloy of the three platinum group metals: platinum, palladium, and nickel. So 28, 46, and 78 respectfully, with respect to nickel, palladium, platinum. There's good reason for me to believe that this stuff's real, because I don't always remember the numbers. But then again, I have learned the table. I made sure to make myself memorize the periodic table, because on a whim, I can play Periodic Festival. I just want it to be real. Literally, guys, you can make the elements behave how you want them to. In a fun way, I want you to write down what you would have the element do as a gift to the science. Like, what would you make it do as its cool sci-fi thing? You might find out that that whole fictional story, false prophet thing that I was talking about, where there's actually true prophet from the fiction, aka through the fiction, you might find that we send messages through the imagination's department of the brain, and that's where we get our messages of future tense. That's how I started doing this, and that's how I started witnessing lottery win after lottery win after lottery win, in the form, I got a number right, I got two numbers right. That's a win to me. That's substantiation. I hadn't quit vaping yet. I was still drinking, and I was on a medication that I might in the future seemed to want me off, Suboxone. So I stopped vaping. I don't even have the patches on anymore. This patch is that's estradiol. But the other ones were the skin-colored ones, the round ones, and I do still do the nicotine lozenge. I put it up in the top lip because I used to dip. Grizzly. Timberwolf and Grizzly. And of course, Copenhagen, was that the other name? I used to dip. Blessings of heaven, man. Don't have any teeth problems. Used to be a meth. Don't have any teeth problems. Blessed. I have to think that maybe either I have superb genes on a level you cannot conceive, like, I could easily be like delusions of grandeur on that, or I somehow have become part of a quantum experiment in the future that has harnessed the ability to regenerate tissue of a child, as far as the freshness of the flesh, bone, skin, and I mean even the nails. Scar tissue completely desicatrized, so that it's no longer made into the form scar tissue, and have genuine skin reaffirmed by, because what? We can take a skin cell, a stem cell from your embryonic capacity of the format, your true form umbilical cord, even if you don't have it, because it would be able to be, you could just turn down the quantum, the quantum entangled moment yourself, and then yourself in other time, and literally bring it up to the date, quantum signature style. You'd be able to take a cell, and if you can turn it off, you can turn it back on in the form stem. So then you would probably be able to even regenerate tissues, arms, legs, stuff that's lost. In a future where I absolutely have sure of myself, I would probably test on the tip of my finger. Hold on. In a future when I'm absolutely sure of myself. Now, when is that? When I can cut my hair, like, on my head, like, take a snip, and then literally, like, make it grow right back up. When I can do that, then I might test the fingertip thing. I don't really see myself testing the fingerprint. So don't think me like, I'm not a suicide, guys. I'm not dangerous, okay? I want you to consider I would test my hair. I just know that I cut my finger one time because I could feel it. I just don't know when it happens. I kind of like the idea that I did it on purpose in a time when we can regenerate the flesh, absolutely. Even if we can do that, then we can regenerate rejuvenation truest. We wouldn't have to be made like in the movie Alita Battle Angel, which is truly a badass movie. I suggest reading it. I really want that to be as a demonstration that we never need to see, that we're combining ourselves into computer parts and everything so that we're sustained that way. I really want to live in the form absolute, the way I was born. Yet, I really like the idea of C to shining C, aka cis trans cis. That I could start off as a cis male one day, the way I did, and then trans as I'm doing, but then cis shining C, the other C, aka that which I was born with male genitalia could, by negation inverted function, true form convert into a fertile female with uterus and capacity to give birth to a child. Now, you obviously wouldn't want to inseminate the self, because that would be weird. But it would also, I don't know if that would be honorable to any religion, because it says the one begotten Son. So I'm not going to step on Christianity. I respect Christianity because it is civilization's seed crystal. So that's the reason I honor the faiths, okay? That's what science does. We're noble, we do the right thing so that the right thing can happen earlier and earlier and earlier. We might find that we actually go all the way back in the beginning of time and hand them a manual on how to build and make everything. Maybe not, but it makes a good movie anyway. I hope you all enjoyed my show. This is not just for entertainment. There is hopes that there's a future old ass me that even looks younger than I do, witnessing to her. This is me in my youth, true form. This is as young as I can be making this video. For now, until, I don't change time, so I want that this is the earliest I made this video, except that there's been a cyclical recording coming across, aka, if you go through my channel, you'll notice that some of the videos dote on the same thing, but sometimes in more detail, I've mentioned quaternium before. It is at this time, beautiful idea. But I won't call it a fiction. For some reason, I went to say it, but it's real. Okay, that's all I need to hear. It's real. So there's a time in the future when we have significant quantum supremacy. When you have quantum supremacy, people, you're manipulating matter. You're manipulating the fire on the logs in the fireplace. You're manipulating the clouds in the sky. It's cloud sculpting. Fire sculpting fire, not sculpting with fire, but sculpting the fire itself. So you could make little, I don't know, you could have a little movie playing in the fire. You could sit there and watch the log, and it would have like the imagery burning through the fire. It's a badass idea. It's not impossible. Because of there's so much stuff I want to tell you guys. Got weird theories about fire, weird theories about